Hi there, Sandy here. Welcome to another polymer clay video at my YouTube channel and my blog, keepsakecrafts.net. Today I'm going to show you how to sculpt just a very small amount of clay and combine it with a bead for a really great focal piece. So here I have a selection of beads, but anything that you can think of that's sizable enough to work with will do. I have a couple of stone chunks, and I have this 20mm flat circle bead. And all you need to start with is a head pin, and if you like, you can add a bead cap. And these stamped filigree bead caps are nice because you can shape them. So you put that onto your head pin, slide it onto your bead, and even with these flat sort of lentil shaped beads, you can take your fingers and shape that bead cap to fit. For this one that I used one of the chunky stones, I just used a decorative head pin. So once you have your chosen head pin on your bead, next you want to make a wrap loop. And you do that by grasping the head pin right where it comes out of the bead with chain nose pliers and make a 90-degree bend. Tuck in your round nose pliers for the size loop that you want. Wrap it over and around. Hold on to that loop with one pair of chain nose pliers, and then use another pair to wrap that wire around that little bit of stem that's coming out of the bead. And then trim off the excess wire. Now, one thing I found that was very important when doing this technique is that your wraps need to be nice and tight against your bead so that it doesn't spin. Because if it spins while you're trying to sculpt, it will drive you mad. So here I have another one that I did that was too loose, and you can see now it really doesn't spin. And what I did, because it was too loose, I took some very fine wire, like this is 34 gauge wire, and I just wrapped it several times around the space between my wraps and my bead until it was nice and snug. And then you just need to choose a color of clay, and this is probably more than I'll need for the whole project. Pinch off a little bit, make sure it's well conditioned, and you can start by covering up those wire wraps. Pinch off a little bit and roll it into a snake. And for this I like to make sure that my ends come to nice points. And then I'll just have a little bit draped down here. Wrap it around really however you like, however looks good to you. So that's a starting point. Then you can pinch off little balls, and seriously, that's probably too big, like 1/8 of an inch. Little tiny balls of clay. Use your finger to roll one side so that you have a bit of a cone. And if you want to avoid fingerprints, use a piece of paper. I've got a bit of index card here to flatten it out. And then if you lose your point, you can use a straight edge razor blade, single edge razor blade, and you can use whatever tool you like, a needle tool, the razor blade, to just make marks for your leaf. And I love working on one of these 6-inch tiles because I can move it around like that. Use your blade to scoop up your leaf, and notice how if you do it in a quick motion it kind of curls a bit. That's actually sort of nice. And then you can just put leaves wherever you want them. Actually, I'm going to start down here. And if this is something that you're going to wear, then try not to have too many pieces that are sticking out that can get caught on clothing or hair. If it's a wall piece or a decorative piece, then you don't have to worry about it so much. And then keep going, making leaves. Here I've added a couple more leaves. And one very important thing when doing this project is that you have to make sure that all of your clay is attached to other clay. Because even though it's sticky now when it's wet, it won't stick once it's baked. It will just pop off. So you need to make sure that it's all attached to each other. Now you can also make little spirals and swirls. And for this, again, tiny pieces of clay, not even 1/8 of an inch. Roll it out, and then to start a spiral, you just kind of nudge one end till it curls around. And you can make them as tight or as loose and as long as you want them to be. You could also spiral the other end and make a little S, but I'm going to add pieces on top of that. And if the things are so tiny they're hard to pick up with your fingers, often a needle tool will be helpful. And just use a very light touch. And so you can add as many of those as you like. You can decorate the back as well as the front. And then to fill in any final spaces that need something, roll out a snake and then cut truly tiny pieces. Yeah, and try not to have your cat lying on your clay, because it will attract cat hair that you cannot see. And again, to roll these into balls, just the lightest of touches. And then you can just pick those up with your needle tool, press them into place, and then use the needle tool to poke a hole in the middle. Sometimes it's better to pick it up with your finger and get it on there a little bit more firmly, and then it won't come back off with your needle tool. So you can make little clusters of those, and anything else you can think of. So decorate to your heart's content, and then bake them at the manufacturer's recommended temperature for at least a half an hour so they're nice and strong. And here are a couple I did earlier. Here's one I thought was pretty with the pearl clay on the bead, and then this one I used the 18 karat gold and the gold clays. And once you're done, you can take a little acrylic paint and just brush it on the clay pieces and then wipe off the excess, and that just leaves the paint in the details, accentuating them. So one of these would be a great pendant, a couple would be a cute pair of earrings. So have fun jazzing up your beads with a little bit of polymer clay sculpture. So here's another look at the project we made today. I hope that you'll give this simple and basic polymer clay sculpting a try. It really is a fun way to enhance some beads you may already have, cover up flaws or broken spots, or just make them look really cool and interesting. So thanks so much for watching Keepsake Crafts videos. If you have an idea you'd like me to try, please share it in the comments below and I'll see what I can do. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and share. And make sure you've subscribed to my YouTube channel if you haven't already for 3 new videos every week. I upload on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And you can follow me on Facebook, Pinterest, Instagram, and on my blog. Happy creating. Bye-bye.